Episode 191 of the TV Dudes podcast, recorded July 12th, 2018, Tainted Love.
I'm not doing a song on this one.
Should I have said it? Tainted Love.
That's how you should say it.
Tainted Love. Missed opportunity, Randy.
But the thing is, whenever I do the song Tainted Love, I wind up accidentally going into Where Did My Love Go? Baby, baby, where did my love? Because it's got the same sort of cadence to it. You know what I'm talking about?
Tainted Love is one of those songs where I always want to sing the musical portion of it.
Mm-hmm.
Bow,
yeah.
bow.
Yes, that's the catchy part. Yeah.
And I'm not very good at it.
I disagree. That was fantastic.
No, me too.
You liking that?
Whose voice is that?
Just do that. Just do that in the background the entire time, and me and Keel talk.
I'm basically Scatman Carruthers here.
You are basically that. Yes.
Well, yeah, that's the only kind of Scatman I want to be. Okay, well, on that note, I guess it's time to go ahead. Let's just get the ball rolling.
It's going to be that kind of show.
Yeah, guys, we are talking about shows that we thought thematically tie into the title of Tainted Love. We're keeping that little theme going with our titles.
We had a struggle this week. We got there.
Yeah, it was a little bit tough. But this week we're talking about Hannah Gadsby's Nanette, Killing Eve, and we have special guest Kei Haynes here to help us with This Is Us, because A, that's a blind spot of ours, and B, Kei, you do a dedicated podcast to This Is Us.
I do. Clyde and I do This Is Us with Kei and Clyde.
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And that's not the only one you do. You also do pilot watch.
Yeah, TV pilot watching, where we obviously review pilots, TV pilots.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Awesome. So you have been doing This Is Us, the podcast, for the 2 seasons going out.
For 7 years, weirdly. It's very strange. They were very prescient. Yes.
Well, 36 actually. But yes, well, technically for a season and a half, because we didn't decide to start it until 10 episodes in. And then I had the bright idea of, let's record 10 episodes in 1 week.
Man.
Well, we almost divorced. And I'm not joking. We had to take a couple-day break in there. Like, I still like you. We can do this.
Were you guys like arguing about the show?
Yes. Like, I didn't think this was good enough. He thought we were just doing too much for Christmas break. I was like, whatever. We need to do every episode. Yeah.
Like, Mandy Moore's a saint. You take that back. She's the devil. I don't know much about this show.
No. We were more arguing about our podcast than the actual show.
That makes more sense.
Yes. But Mandy Moore is a saint.
Yeah. Randy and I have been doing this podcast for quite a while, and we never argue about the format of the show, but we do fight about the quality of anything Damon Lindelof has touched, because he's a god. That's
true. We do fight about that.
I will kill you if you say the next word.
I have a slightly different opinion.
Oh, man.
Slightly.
I also think Damon Lindelof does TV shows.
Oh.
No, I actually like Damon Lindelof just fine. I just don't worship him the way certain people in this room do.
Ice. I can just turn your mic off. I can just turn it off.
Oh, you okay, Bill O'Reilly?
Ouch.
That's unfair. Guys, okay, yeah, so I already mentioned that we're going to get into all of those shows, and we're excited for Kei to join us on that, because that one show, This Is Us, is a blind spot, but we know everyone else seems to love it, and we've been missing out on it. So we're glad you're here to talk with us about that. But before we get into all of that, did want to say, hey, if you guys like the show, you can help us out a couple ways. Go to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, write a little review. You can also go to patreon.com/tvdudes and make a per episode pledge. Give us $1 or $2 an episode, and we will thank you on the podcast. We also give you guys bonus exclusive content.
That's right. Sometimes we do random quizzes. Sometimes we talk. I don't remember what we talked about last week.
Did you talk about terriers?
No.
Sci-fi vehicles, maybe?
It might have been sci-fi vehicles. So our Patreon episodes are never TV related.
I know. I just wanted to bring up terriers.
Oh, well, I also always want to bring up terriers.
I know.
While we're on the subject, well, we got 2 new patrons this week. I want to say thank you to Danny Eli and Kyle Volte for joining the Patreon crew.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. And stay tuned for whatever thing we do on Patreon.
We don't know what it's going to be.
It's probably going to be a live read of an episode of 10 Speed and Brown Shoe or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, for sure.
That's where
Sounds amazing, guys. So good.
going to do a big throwback. We're also proud members of the Electric Sweater Network. If you go to the electricsweater.com, you guys. Oh wait, I'm sorry.
You just jumped right over it.
I did. I went too fast.
I can't. Yeah. Like, what do I? Can you go at it again?
Rewind. That's a rewind noise. We really need a soundboard. We are proud members of the Electric Sweater Network.
Electric sweater.
Wow.
No, nothing.
No.
Right.
Just-
that-
We're really sloppy today. And we are a collective of TV-centric podcasts. You know, we do this one, the TV Dudes. But like we already mentioned...
This is us with Key and Clyde.
And?
TV Pilot Watching with Key and Clyde.
That's right.
And Star Trek Discovery Pod with Clyde.
And Grant.
And Grant. Oh, and Grant's
Mike.
on it too. And Mike.
Yeah.
And Ashley.
I was trying to keep a thing going.
Oh.
And
Randy, you did Beach Cop Detectives.
I did do Beach Cops Detectives, and you know what? There was an episode with Key and Clyde.
I guess there was.
Nice. So yeah, we it's a very incestuous family, I guess, here in the Electric Sweater Network. All right, well, let's go ahead. Oh wait, no, I have one more note.
Oh,
another
do?
thing I wanted to promote. So our buddy Nick Tice, who does the Unapologetic Geek Out podcast,
Nick Tice.
also, did I say? I thought I said it correctly.
Nick
this time.
Tice.
Man, Nick Tice. Okay. Anyway, he does the UGO podcast. And we mentioned this a couple weeks back, and we wanted to remind you guys that he's actually going to be here in Austin running a booth for the Anime Austin convention. And you guys can come over to his booth, and you can earn merch and prizes by playing games, which include Super Fight and Movie Pitch, which we played with him before. It was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
There's also going to be some panels with some familiar faces, including this guy, Harris O'Malley.
I know that guy.
Dr. Nerdlove. Oh, that's a terrible name. I bet that won't go far. And We Are Error, and which is going to be a reunion with Chris Herman and John Romo's unapologetic look back at JRPGs. Jeez. Anyway, the Anime Austin will be held at the Holiday Inn in Midtown Austin, July 27th through 29th. And you can find Nick and the Unapologetic UGO crew at the vendor hall. Just look for the big sign and follow the mascot Isabella, the Derpy Dragon.
Yes.
All right. Enough of that stuff. Let's get to the news.
All right. Our first bit of news is one of those things that every so often Grant likes to give me an opportunity to yell about how bad Screen Rant's coverage is, and they make stories out of nothing. And Charlie Cox, this is the headline, Charlie Cox wants Daredevil and Spider-Man to team up in the MCU.
Good luck.
Here's the thing. I also want Daredevil and Spider-Man to team up because in the comics, they're a great pair. They have a good friendship.
I don't want that Daredevil.
But I don't want that Daredevil. I want Marvel Cinematic Universe to do their own Daredevil.
Wait, who's that Daredevil? What's different about that Daredevil?
He'd be better.
He'd
have a costume and a budget.
Yeah, I don't like
the one in the comics?
The one that... See, the thing is, the Cinematic Universe, the movies, they all do things really, really well. And Netflix's shows they're okay, but they're not on the same level. And
Gotcha.
I feel like if the MCU guys got their hands on Daredevil, they would do kind of the way that they took Spider-Man and made like a really good Spider-Man. I don't see the Marvel Cinematic Universe has such a different tone than the Netflix shows. I can't imagine it working.
You know what I think about? I think about how on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Sif made a cameo, and then she died from the rest of the MCU. You never see her again.
You think that's what happens?
I think it was a death nail. Yeah. She's just like, they're like, who? No, I'm sorry, you decided to go over to the TV side. Gone.
You're dead now.
And I can't have that happen to Spider-Man.
But Nick Fury went over there. He came back.
Did he do a little thing? A little cameo?
He did a little cameo. Yeah.
It was super small if he did.
Yeah, but that's Nick Fury. He has powers above. I mean, he can survive just about anything.
Okay.
Not anything, but just about anything.
Okay. Well, this is not happening, and that's just silly.
It's just silly,
Yeah.
and it's adorable that he thinks that.
I love that everyone in the TV version of the Marvel universe keeps thinking maybe film senpai will notice us.
So here's the thing: he did give an answer this was the Las Vegas Comic-Con. Somebody asked him the question, and he said, "I have to be really careful here. I'm sure I can say this, and I'll just preface it by saying I can't see how this would happen. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But I have no information to suggest this would ever happen. But it'd be really cool to see. I'd love to do something with Spider-Man."
Okay, yeah.
That kind of sounds like he wants to just make out with him.
Right.
And maybe that's what he was talking. Maybe this is all just a misunderstanding. He's like, I just think Tom Holland is cute.
I mean, don't we all?
I do.
I do.
That's 3.
He's a good
Plus
looking
4
dude.
if you count Charlie Cox.
I think it's weird that he's playing like a 16-year-old.
It's a little weird.
Yeah.
And that he's got the deep British accent, but he hides it really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better than like Charlie Cox did.
Yeah. All right. Other comic book news that is very exciting. FX's Why the Last Man cast has been revealed. And so we know our Yorick. We know who our his mom is. We know who Hero is. And it's a pretty good cast.
Yeah. Diane Lane is awesome.
Diane Lane is playing his mom. Barry Keoghan from Dunkirk and The Killing of a Sacred Deer
Cohen?
is playing Yorick
Cohen?
Brown.
I would say Cohen, maybe.
Cohen?
Yeah, I remember him from Dunkirk because I just watched that this last weekend.
Okay. Imogen Poots, who has one of the best names ever, is playing Hero.
Awesome.
And let's see. Lashana Lynch, who is going to be in Captain Marvel, I believe is one of my favorite characters, Monica Rambeau, is going to play Agent 355, which is awesome because I love Agent 355 and I love Monica Rambeau. And if the same person is playing both, that's going to make me happy.
Wait, Monica Rambeau from Captain Marvel?
From Captain Marvel.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, she was Captain Marvel in the 80s when I started reading because the Captain Marvel was dead and Carol was binary at that point.
Okay.
So the name was free, and so there was a new character who was a police lieutenant from New Orleans who became Captain Marvel, and she was a great character.
Cool.
And then, let's see. Julianne Canfield from Succession is playing Beth, which is his ex-girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
And is she the daughter in Succession, I guess? I only seen the first episode.
Yeah, it's got to be.
And I think...
Oh, it says that Marcel from Friends is going to be playing his monkey.
Yeah, that makes sense. Key, are you
What about
familiar
Marin Ireland? She's in it.
Oh, yeah. And she is playing
Nora.
Who... Oh, that's President's assistant. I was having trouble remembering that character.
Yeah, I think it's a new
beefing
one.
that part up. She's in Hell or High Water and Sneaky Pete, which I've seen both of those, and I can't picture her.
So is that a small part for her? She's pretty.
It sounds like
great.
they're beefing it up.
Okay.
I can't picture her, and I know I've seen both those that show in that movie.
Yeah, she's like average height, average weight.
See, that's why I can't picture her. Key, are you familiar with Why Last Man at all?
I'm not, but when I read about this, I was excited. I mean, Diane Lane on TV, and then I am a fan of Marin Ireland, so yeah. Yeah,
it's a great cast, and it's actually a really good graphic novel series, so FX is the right place to have it. I'm getting pretty excited about this adaptation.
So how does this, I saw in the article you sent that they're going to address social and political items. Does that connect to the comic? Or?
So yeah, the basic pitch for Why the Last Man is that there's some kind of mysterious thing that happens, and all the male members of every species die, except for this one dude who's like a sort of a dude bro kind of dude who's like a failing escape artist, and he has a helper monkey.
Yeah, he's a magician.
Yeah, he's a street magician and all this stuff. His mom's a U.S. senator, and his sister is an ambulance driver, and it starts with this big epidemic where all the men of like every species of all the males die, and then all of a sudden it is a planet where the women rule everything, and
somehow, despite all the men dying, they still make this comic series about a man.
It's true. Well, it was written by a man.
Well then.
Yeah. But I remember reading that first issue, and it had this write-up at the end about what that would do, like how he's like, there's like the only place that had soldiers in combat was Israel. And so there's a major character who's an Israeli colonel because he's some of the few military trained. This was a while back. That's obviously not as true anymore as it was at the time.
Right.
But they also talked about how religion was decimated and all this kind of stuff, that basically how the world was so male dominated that for having to switch, like what that was going to do to society, and that was sort of the viewpoint of it.
Wow.
And it was really interesting. I've known some people I know, like Felicia Day hated this book. Like she found it kind of misogynist, but it's from a feminist viewpoint. It's from a dude, and maybe it like did things ham-handedly. I never got a chance to ask fully about that. I was like, I saw her at a Comic-Con and I asked her about like, what was it about it? And she was just like related a few things, but I've heard that from a few people.
Yeah, so I think, it kind of
the fact that it's centered on a man.
It is about a man.
Yeah.
All the men die, and it's about a man.
Yeah.
The one
there is
left.
that.
And it kind of is on this like fantasy, like, oh, I'm desired by everyone just because I'm this rare. What if I'm the only guy?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean,
there's that underlying sexual thing going on.
But there's
too.
also, I mean, the whole thing is about whether or not the species will continue because they've wiped out the males of every species, and so there is an aspect of they're looking into cloning and that kind of thing.
They have the sperm banks. They can still have women, girls.
That's true.
Right?
Do they?
I think.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. They could. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But it goes in a lot. It goes in a lot of interesting directions, and I suspect that as with like Preacher and some of their sort of '90s and early 2000s stuff that's been adapted, that they'll have to modify because things have changed even in those last like couple of decades. So I'll be interested to see how they adapt this and make it work for a more modern era, given that kind of a lot's happened since then.
The artwork is great too, and I hope that Pia Guerra gets to do more stuff involved with this.
Well, you know, she's doing editorial cartoons right now.
Yeah,
she's doing amazing editorial cartoons.
They are kind of gut punches.
Yeah. So I'm super excited about this.
It sounds great.
Rosario Dawson, who was the connective tissue of a lot of the Marvel Netflix shows, she's going to be the lead role of Briar Patch at USA.
I'm excited about this because of who created Briar Patch as well.
Novel from Ross Thomas. Oh, Andy Greenwald.
Andy Greenwald, the television critic.
Yeah.
It's also heavily involved in this. It's on USA Network, which can go one of two ways.
Right.
But Mr. Robot is also on there. So
it says here that she is a tenacious and highly skilled investigator working in Washington, D.C. for a young, ambitious senator. Her younger sister was killed by a car bomb, and the investigation takes her back to her corrupt Texas hometown. Interesting.
What begins as a search for the murderer becomes a fraught and dangerous excavation of the past that she had long sought to bury.
Well, this sounds right up her alley because she's a huge activist. So I'm wondering like how much of it she gets to, or that they're going to, mention, talk about, point at, etc.
Yeah, I'm curious. The thing I find interesting, as always, Screen Rant is like, but what about a role on Marvel Netflix? You can tell where their heart is. Like they want to know, is she still going to be Claire Temple? I'm like, she's got a lead role on a USA show, and you give that like at least they started with that.
Yeah, but they don't give her much to do on those Marvel shows anyway.
But they mention the Marvel Netflix in the headline. Like that is not the story here.
Right.
Anyway,
another reason for you to hate Screen Rant.
This is amazing. Sacha Baron Cohen tricked Sarah Palin into a Who is America interview. So we don't know exactly what the deal on the show is. Sacha Baron Cohen, who did Borat and Ali G
and Bruno.
So he's been doing this undercover show for Showtime that is called Who is America. We don't know that much about it, but he has been talking to various political figures and probably hiding who he was in the same way he did when he was Ali G, where he sort of presented this sort of unironic.
He's getting a lot of people that are like today. Roy Moore came out that he's all angry because he knows now that he got into some interview. I think Bernie Sanders was mentioned as a target. And yeah, it was just like he apparently worked for quite a while on new characters, hoping like, can I go back to being able to do what I did with those other ones? Obviously, you can't use his big main three anymore.
Right. Well, apparently he disguised himself as a wounded U.S. veteran, and she discovered halfway through the interview that it was a ruse and walked out because she thought it was a legit opportunity to honor American vets. She added that once she caught on to his disrespect and sarcasm, the jig was up, and she recommended that all the proceeds from the series be donated to various charities to support U.S. veterans. Now, I'm all for anybody fooling Sarah Palin, but I feel like pretending to be a U.S. veteran might be beyond the pale. I don't know.
It couldn't happen to a nicer lady than Sarah Palin.
I agree. But that was that's an interesting
it does seem a little shady. Like, you went a little far there.
He's
like
British.
not.
He doesn't care.
It's probably true.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm curious to see if he managed to pull this off, like getting interviews with people who didn't know who he was.
Oh yeah, I'm sure, definitely.
All right, the last bit of news is that Emmy nominations are out.
Right.
So I will spare you all my discussion of how I hate the Emmys.
Did you?
But can I be excited about it? Because I actually am excited.
Yes,
and
for
always
sure.
excited.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
We
Just to say.
We should do like a live show if you're excited.
Oh yeah, no, I have like little parties with like 3 people at my
Like
house.
Randy never wants to do that. But
No,
like,
I don't. Sorry.
Let's do it.
Man, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I have issues with award
crossover.
shows and Emmys in particular, but this list is pretty good.
Like Kia, who did you see some of the nominations?
No, I just read about Atlanta getting 16 noms.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sandra Oh getting a nomination.
Oh yeah, I saw about that because she's like the first female Asian actress like to get a nomination ever.
Well, when I saw them talking about Killing Eve in the first place, I read an article from her saying that this is one of those things like she'd been looking for opportunities like this where they didn't cast her to be like the Asian American woman lead.
Right.
Like they cast her. And that was such an unusual thing. And it is interesting because, yeah, the Killing Eve is a great performance for her and it's a great role.
Well, she didn't think that she was getting the lead.
Yeah.
Because of,
Yeah.
life experiences. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's really cool. And it's nice to see the reward of her getting a nomination for pretty fantastic work.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'll run another nominations, not all of them, but like the drama series is Handmaid's Tale, Game of Thrones, This Is Us, The Crown, The Americans, Stranger Things, and Westworld, which is all pretty good.
Quick sidebar.
Yeah.
Have you guys finished season 2 of Handmaid's Tale?
No.
So I actually haven't watched past episode 1 of season 1 because I was pregnant
Oh yeah.
when it came out. So I couldn't.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't stomach it.
Right. Well,
Yes.
even now that you're not, I'm not sure how much more stomachable it is.
Yeah.
And this second season, I'm like, ugh,
I know.
why does it feel like such a depressing slog?
Because we're essentially looking 5 years into our future.
No.
That's why.
It's brutal and it's
I s-
unrelenting.
I saw someone comment. I got 4 episodes in, and I enjoy it. It's really well done, but it is hard watching. And I saw someone post an article. I didn't read it. I saw a headline that basically said that Handmaid's Tale could have given us sort of the revolutionary tale that we wanted, and instead they sort of doubled down on the misery porn for season 2. And I feel like that probably wasn't. It may be true to Atwood's vision. It may make sense, but it's probably not what we need right now. Like, I don't know that I have an in me to watch that.
Well, is it because they're trying to stretch it out? Like,
I don't know.
revolutionary for season 3. Is there season 3?
I heard
coming?
that they had 7 seasons of this plan.
Oh,
If it's all like this, I can't watch 7 seasons of that.
Right. I think a lot of people.
It's really well done, but it's so bleak
Yeah.
that I just can't do it.
Anyway, I'm sorry to
Well, I mean,
deviate from what's going on with the
I
nominations.
think it's interesting. Game of Thrones and Westworld are both on there.
Right.
Those are shows that we obviously love.
They're grandfathered in, though, right? At this point.
This Is Us, which I think also was that. No, that was also last year.
yeah, that was last year. But then Sterling K. Brown and Milo Ventimiglia were nominated as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Crown is on there, which I think that was also nominated season 1. And The Americans got a nod for their final season, which is cool. Stranger Things got on there, so that's the only thing for Netflix. There's no other Netflix shows on there.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. People
Yeah.
are really annoyed at that.
Like, what shows are we missing though, as far as like dramas from Netflix that are big?
I feel like Netflix doesn't submit to the same categories, though, necessarily. Or
Yeah.
they're still, like, a little bit... the Academy still... Is it the Academy? It's the Emmys. I don't know.
The Television Academy, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, there's an Academy.
I think they're a little bit reticent to... I don't know. Maybe they're fine with it, but, like, accept digital. I guess they're doing it with Hulu. So
Yeah.
Why not?
I'm not surprised, but did Star Trek Discovery get anything like writing or special effects or anything like that? I would have
I
thought they
think
would have
it's
gotten some
fun,
nods there.
but I don't think it's, like...
It's on a level. I mean, it is prestige TV Star Trek as far as that goes, I think.
I guess. I mean, I love the show, but I wouldn't go, oh, man, that performance deserves an Emmy.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm just surprised it didn't wind up in one of the special effects categories. It might have. I didn't look that far down. I'm looking at my list. The Deuce did not get nominated, which I'm not surprised. It's kind of a niche show.
That's also kind of that's par for the course for David Simon.
Yeah, that's true.
It's always be the redheaded stepchild.
I'm looking at my list of last year's like best stuff. Was Fargo maybe not either people didn't think season 3 was worth it, or it didn't get, or it wasn't
Dude, I didn't think season 3 was worth it. Season 3 wasn't that good.
I still like season 3, but it wasn't as good as
I
season
don't even
1
remember
too.
what happened. I don't even remember what happened in season 2, really. Which one was the UFO one? Was that season 2 or 3?
That was season 1.
No.
That was season 1.
No.
No, you're right. That was season 2.
Okay. I'm just going to keep saying no until you agree with me.
As I look, I don't see anything in particular that was like for drama. The biggest thing missing to me was Legion, which, despite the fact that it's superhero, that is TV that probably is Emmy worthy.
That should just be like for editing, and cinematography or special effects.
I guess. Comedy's a really crowded category, but Netflix did get a couple in there. They got Glow and Kimmy Schmidt. Both
is
of which
The
I
Good
think
Place on there?
No. The Good Place is not on there, and that's wrong.
Heresy.
Atlanta is on there. Barry is on there, which is weird because Barry is barely a comedy.
Man, Barry's like Nurse Jackie always being on there.
Silicon Valley Valley is on there. Curb Your Enthusiasm is on there, and by the way, doesn't deserve to be. Curb Your Enthusiasm latest season was not that great.
It was terrible.
Yeah. It's just because Curb always gets in there. Blackish is on there, which is that's the only representative of any network comedy is Blackish, which I find interesting.
Huh.
Which I need to catch up on because every time I've watched it, I liked it. It's just one of those things. It's sitting along with 30 Rock and some other stuff. When I need comedy, I need to watch it.
So I've skipped a bunch of it, but there was a lot of conversation around like the last 5 episodes.
Yeah.
So I jumped in and I was surprised.
It's always good. I love Anthony Anderson. I've liked every episode I've watched of it. It's just one of those things where my room for comedy is pretty low.
I don't like the feel of any like ABC comedies anymore.
Yeah.
Like I watched Modern Family and they just kind of got burnt out on the whole style, and it seems like all of them kind of work within that same visual, aesthetic. And I don't know. There's something.
I'm kind of surprised Mindhunter didn't make the cut. Maybe that was last year. Maybe it was not decided to be Emmy worthy, but that was great.
I thought it did.
Did it?
I still never saw it.
It was really good. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of obvious things missing to me. The big ones are The Good Place is crazy. That's the big one.
Well, I mean, does this mark a change in attitude for Randy regarding the Emmys?
No.
How do you feel about the Emmys?
Fuck the Emmys.
All right, guys, so we are going to start by talking about the new comedy special, Nanette, with Hannah Gadsby over on Netflix. And then we're going to jump over to Killing Eve. And then we're going to wrap up by downloading a whole 2 episodes of This Is Us into your brain. We will go into spoilers on these shows, so you have been warned. First up, Nanette is this new comedy special, like I said, on Netflix, by the Tasmanian comedian Hannah Gadsby, and it's got a lot of people talking.
Yeah, literally every one of my friends was like, "Oh, you have to watch this. You have to watch this."
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. The first person who told me I had to watch this was the guy who I think literally 2 days before had been telling about how he hated stand-up comedy, which was Les Weiler,
Interesting.
TV dude, who went to Moon Tower and discovered he does not like stand-up comedy. And then he tells me, you have to watch this. It's what I want stand-up to be. And as someone who likes stand-up comedy, I was like, I don't know that we're going to agree about this.
I don't think it is stand-up.
And that's the thing. It's not stand-up comedy. They pitch it as a stand-up special. This is more akin to a TED Talk with a point of view. It's a great spoken word piece, but I didn't find it to be comedy.
I sort of disagree.
Yeah?
I think that a stand-up comedy special can have moments of drama, and I get that this is extended moments, but Hannah Gadsby is doing a very personal story in this, and it absolutely, like, you'll notice that she kind of does like 15 minutes of straight comedy right in the beginning, and then she hits a little turning point, and at that turning point she kind of talks about, like, you know what, I don't want to have myself be the butt of jokes anymore. I'm not doing this, and I'm going to change my style, and maybe I should actually quit comedy. And it gets a little serious, but then she uses that as a pivot point to kind of go and weave back and forth through more jokes, and the audience is laughing like a lot. And I found myself laughing at a lot of her jokes, or at least like really amused. I don't think I laugh out loud.
No, you don't laugh out loud or cry because you're a robot.
But I would say about 2/3 of the way through, she takes another big turn, and that's where all of a sudden it's like, okay, now the jokes are over for a while. She's going to pepper them in here or there, but she has a point of view that she's really going to express, and
I don't know.
I think that's important storytelling.
Oh, it's definitely. I mean, it's important. I understand why everybody loves this, but it's not what I want comedy to be. If someone decided that this is the future of comedy, I'd be very sad.
Well, I think if Barry is considered comedy, this is more comedy than Barry.
I don't think it should be considered comedy either. I think that we've already seen. We saw this slide when Louis, the Louis show started to be more serious, and Atlanta is sort of in that same vein. Like, it can be great, but let's be clear about what comedy is. And I think that you're doing a disservice to Nanette to call it like a great comedy special. I don't think this is a great comedy special. I think it's a fantastic performance, and I think it's very important, and I think it's very raw and interesting. But I didn't find it to be a comedy special.
I wonder if it's material for, I guess, the basis of a television show. Like, I could see that happening.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm not sure if I didn't see the Tig Notaro special, but I did watch one in Mississippi, and that is darker stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, this feels like the same. I mean, there is a style of comedy that, like, Tig Notaro, what she does is similar to this.
Well, what happened with Tig Notaro's famous set was that minutes before she was about to go, or like hours before she was about to go up on stage, she found out that she has breast cancer.
Yeah.
And she wasn't processing it well, and she starts processing it on stage to everyone.
Yeah.
And there's a mixture of comedy and just heartbreaking truth-telling. And I disagree with you completely.
Okay.
About this this shouldn't be called comedy. This is I think that comedy is making observations and having a point of view about tragedy that can make people smile or frown and reflect on something. I mean, I don't think that laughter is the only aspect of comedy that you need in a stand-up special.
I think
devoid of it completely is a problem.
I think, and that's the thing for me. This was pretty devoid of laughs.
Even in the beginning,
even in the outset. Yeah, I was not feeling it. And actually, I was wondering what Les was talking about in the first like 10 or 15 minutes. So I'm like, this is okay, but I'm not seeing why it's amazing. And then when it takes that turn, I understood why it was amazing, but I didn't think it was funny. I think that sincerity is a hard thing to carry through in comedy. Like, comedy is not a great vehicle for sincerity, and this is a very sincere show.
What did you think of it, Kei?
So I only got about 20 minutes in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, it takes a turn.
It takes a bit of a turn.
In what direction?
Well, she starts talking about
darkly serious.
Yeah, like being. She talks about sort of what it's like to be a queer woman who looks like her in this society, and the violence she's undergone, and that kind of thing. And it's very raw and real. And she's talking about
she takes men to task.
Yeah,
the men of privilege to task through basically the whole thing at a certain point, and she just starts calling them out and like, this is bullshit about society. How are you guys one of my favorite jokes are like, why are there angry white male comments?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
What's the deal
actually
with that?
Interesting.
What are you angry about?
But I didn't find that funny. I just thought that a good observation.
I mean, when I watched it, I felt like it was very serious even in the beginning.
Yeah.
But then I did start to laugh when she said that she came out and that she was watching like a Mardi Gras, I guess, like Pride Parade, and she was like, these people are very loud. Where are my quiet, like, gay people? Like, she was like, where are the quiet? I thought that was hilarious. I mean, so her observations were interesting, but no, I did not know that she went that dark.
Yeah, the gay flag, it's a bit loud.
Yeah.
It could be toned down.
I thought that it's comedy in that I think the best comedy offers up observations, offers up kernels of truth. But I think that in comedy, it usually provides me with, there's an undercutting of it. There's an irony to it, and I think that
I feel like you're championing escapism, and you're trying to say that all comedy needs to operate as escapism for you. And I don't think it should.
I do think there's going to be some escapism in comedy. Yes, I think that's true.
I think there's plenty of other comedy out there, but I think to paint all of comedy with a broad brush and say it has to conform to what makes me comfortable or makes me laugh. No, I think this is still a valid form. I think a lot of people do that, and I agree with Les. I would like to see more people being real about certain things. I think that the comedian has a very powerful pulpit to kind of get across a message and command an audience to a certain degree to be open to listening to things because they're able to be so observant about the human condition and to point out to us in a way that we can laugh about something and then we can actually stop and reflect about it. And how she does that in this comedy special, this is one of the most powerful comedy specials I've seen. This and Tig Notaro's.
I don't know. If the future of comedy is going to be either this or Jerry Seinfeld, I'd rather have it be this. I don't want it to be like empty cotton candy kind of thing. But
I'm good with both.
I would like both. But I would like, I don't know. It seemed weirdly branded. Like I was expecting one thing and I didn't get that thing.
Well,
what I got was interesting.
What were you expecting?
I was expecting something funnier. I was expecting something that was more of a, I don't know. It really does take a turn in that second half where it is just like a spoken word. I felt like it was a kind of a poetry slam kind of thing. It was like a very different energy and a very different goal. And it hits those goals amazingly, but I don't think it's a comedy show.
I've just been watching some of these other comedy specials that have popped up on here. There's this one dude that you guys really liked, and I found him really boring. And I don't remember his name now.
I don't remember either.
He kind of did like some Jim Gaffigan almost affectation through a lot of his show. He's kind of soft-spoken.
Is it Mike Birbiglia?
Birbiglia.
I love Mike Birbiglia.
Man, that guy annoyed me. And I watched Ali Wong's, and I liked a lot of it, but it's also just kind of like really aggressive in your face. And at a certain point, I'm like, I need to take a step back and have a breather.
Yeah.
I found that this style was just kind of also refreshing. She's quirky. She's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And in a way.
That's I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I was trying to figure out, was this part of the act or is this just naturally who she is? Like I couldn't quite. That's what my focus was on the entire time.
Right. It's almost like she has like a little bit of like Tourette's and like an astigmatism or something.
It reminded me a little,
like her eyes kind of blink and she just kind of does this jerky thing and like a little bit of a nervous gravel like whenever she speaks. And at first I was a little turned off by it. Then I was like, nope. Now I understand. I'm kind of with how she delivers all these jokes using that, and I'm like, this is very effective for me. And I'm.
It reminded
impressed.
me in some ways of what Maria Bamford does.
Yeah. Yes.
It's got that sort of, and Maria Bamford's not a comedian who I don't always love, and I think that's the thing. Is like I have loved.
She's also very raw and honest.
I love performances. I've loved performances by Maria Bamford. I've loved a lot of what Tig Notaro does, but I've also been turned off by work they do, and I think that just it is me. It is what I'm not saying. I'm sure as hell not the arbiter of what comedy should be. I'm just saying for me, this was not the home run that I think it was for a lot of people.
No, and don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to say that your opinion is incorrect, and you should shut up.
Well, that's what you usually start. You usually open the show with that.
That's all. That's all I ever.
You just
really
took a while to
say.
get there. That's all.
Yeah. I was seeing it in your eyes.
Okay, good.
I got it in your eyes.
Shut up, Randy.
And the T-shirt that you wore in here says "Randy, shut the fuck up." I thought that was rude.
We are selling those at our store, guys. If you want a Randy, shut the fuck up shirt.
I am terrified at how much money we could make selling those shirts.
Oh man, that'd be great. We should. Look
we should
into
do
this.
that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, obviously we're a little split on this, at least as far as categorization.
We all think people should watch it. Did you like what you saw, Key? Are you going to go back to it, or
was it a little bit too awkward?
It was.
Yeah.
It was really awkward. But I like I said, I did like her observations. So I felt like she said things that I hadn't really thought of before.
Right.
And so that's a reason I would go back to it. But I also was really depressed. Like,
oh, it's dark.
And so if you're telling me it takes a much darker turn,
it gets very dark
with all the TV that there is. I don't know that's on top of my list.
Yeah,
it is. She's doing storytelling, and there's an absolute arc to what she does. Another person, I watched the more recent stand-up of Chappelle, and I remembered watching it, and I ended up stopping and turning it off about halfway through. And I was just like, I'm kind of annoyed by this guy. I loved a lot of his stuff when he was younger, but now he's just so jaded about everything that he just seems kind of pissy.
Yeah.
And And there was like certain jokes that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. That was just like,
I agree.
just being crotchety old man here.
Yeah.
And then like there was just one joke that was just like, and this was a final straw. Why would you even? I think it was some rape joke they did, and I was like, it wasn't even a joke. There's no punchline.
Yeah.
And then I ended up like going back and watching the rest, and I realized he totally had a punchline.
Yes.
It's just when you stop midway through someone doing a set,
Yeah.
and you don't get to their resolution,
Sometimes it looks a little awkward.
it's even worse.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not that I'm like fully defending him. I still,
I mean, but does everyone get a comedy special on Netflix these days? It kind of feels like it.
Yeah.
They're cranking out a bunch. It must be pretty cost effective for them in regards to what they get on the return. So, and yeah, I mean, sometimes just being able to check out a comedian and go, yeah, you gel with me, and no, you not so much. Burt Biglia, get out of here. I think Burt Biglia is a great storyteller.
Yeah.
Not so much. Or that one comedy special did not like it.
I love Birbiglia. I've loved every special he's done.
Let's talk about Killing Eve, guys.
Okay.
So, Key, you and I have watched the first 3 episodes. Randy, I think you're getting close to the end. Is it 6
I watched
episodes?
7 of the 8.
7 of the 8?
Yeah.
Well, then, Key, let's start with you. What do you think of this? Like, what did you even know about this show going into it?
So all I knew is that everybody was talking about it. And then you all asked me to be a guest. And I was like, all right, well, let's start it. I'm in love with this. Like, I wish I stayed up all night watching the Sandra Oh is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just so well done. I'm impressed.
She's captivating.
Yes.
Yeah, and I feel like in a way she's sort of a similar character to like in Grey's Anatomy. She's got some similar kind of personality quirks that I think is just there's something really endearing about Sandra Oh herself.
Yeah.
But I like that she's kind of unabashedly a fanatic about studying psychopaths.
Mm-hmm.
and how she just kind of was doing this not as like a side gig. I mean, it was informative to her job, at least in the pilot.
Right.
But it was a clear passion of hers that she was doing a little bit rogue to her job, and how she just kind of sells that she is the type of person that would be into that, but that she's a normal functioning person who just
Normal-ish.
that also just happens to be into those like setting that kind of stuff. I'm like, I like it. I buy into her, and the woman that they cast as the assassin.
Jodie Comer.
Yeah.
She's fantastic too. She's like a chameleon, and she's so intense and creepy.
And she plays a fantastic sociopath.
She really does. I actually know her from this show, British show called Dr. Foster.
Okay.
And she is totally different character, but she's actually more likable as an assassin
Oh, okay.
than she was as the character she played in Dr. Foster.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching this, trying to get past that for the first, few minutes. And I was like, wow, she is killing this. She's made for this role.
Like how I wasn't sure after the first couple episodes if this was going to be just a Sandra Oh vehicle and they were going to have her capture the bad guy and then like move on to a new bad guy kind of thing. And when I kind of realized, no, it's going to be this cat and mouse game at least for the first season, if not more, I don't know. I really liked the way they've developed the relationship between the two over the episodes without them having much, if any, interaction. Just in the kind of it's like a romance.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Like on both.
It's
their
so
part.
flirty. I mean, it's just the writing is flirty. I mean, the passes. I mean, they're really well done.
Like Sandra Oh is just kind of she's fascinated, right? And you get the sense that I don't know what's her name,
Villanelle.
Villanelle, that she's actually like kind of like obsessed with her. She has someone in Eve that is interested in what she does, and now she has almost like a fan, and that's feeding her, and she's so into that she's stalking her.
Oh man, wait till you guys see the more.
But it's more than stalking, right? Like at least from what we've seen, it's like she's giving her the belt for the dress, like just really.
Yeah.
you know,
I mean,
almost like a long lost love kind of thing.
It's not unlike, say, what was going on with Clarice and Hannibal in Silence of the Lambs, except that there Clarice was trying to do a job. She was trying to use him for like to track down another killer, and in this one, Eve is like obsessed with her, and there's a little bit of that. She doesn't admire her; she's horrified by her, but she's also fascinated by her, and there is this connection between the two of them that kind of goes both ways. Even though there's such a danger to it for both of them, because the danger to is it Villanelle? Is that her name? Mm-hmm. Is that Eve is the one who could catch her, and the danger to Eve is that Villanelle could kill her. Because the one thing that I found interesting when
at this point, at any point,
when you talk about cat and mouse, usually that implies a sort of a chase, like one they're both sort of on equal footing a little bit,
right?
But really, cat and mouse means one of them's going to get eaten. And she is very much the mouse here. Like, there is no, they don't have an operator. They don't have someone who's capable of taking on Villanelle if it comes to a physical confrontation.
Absolutely not.
And we see that. We see what happens. Like, these are intelligence operatives. These
especially in that third episode.
Yeah. They can look for her, and they may be able to track her down. But once they find her, their plan has got to be to call in SWAT. Like, they don't have anyone who can confront her.
But it's even more than that. Like, Eve is just so unaware of her presence.
Yeah.
And that is just like, I'm kind of baffled by that. Like, how are you not, you're not looking around your surroundings at all.
Yeah. She doesn't seem to understand the danger she's in.
It's almost like she was just recruited 2 weeks prior to be a spy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of what happened.
And that's what I like.
No training.
I watched the first episode of this when we talked about it, when it first came out.
I wasn't on that one.
Oh, were you not? Okay.
No, so this is brand new to me.
I watched the first episode, and then I took a, 3-month break, and then I watched episode 2 and the rest of it. So that whole thing, like, the first episode all sets up her being on the outs and all that kind of thing, setting up her new operation, that she's the boss and all that kind of stuff. That was all just a complete change of story for me, and I really liked seeing that. And seeing her become the boss instead of the crazy person who had this private project that she had to be told not to do is a really interesting change, too.
Right.
And the thing I really like is that this is 2 big stories, because we are seeing Villanelle's point of view just as much as we see Eve's.
And they make her killing of people like cinematic. It's kind of fun. Like the BBC shows just kind of do that. Like when I watch like Luther or like Sherlock or something, like how they sensationalize, I guess, murder, but they almost like glamorize the kill in this kind of,
it's like Hitchcockian.
This way that I feel like voyeuristic kind of watching this. I'm like, oh, what's gonna happen? This is so good, which is demented, but they do it so well.
Yeah.
And I love this little meet cute cat and mouse thing going on here.
There's also, this reminds me of so many things that I have watched on, like The Night Manager that I watched. It was not through BBC America, or maybe it was, but it feels
might have been.
It feels like that. It feels like a little bit of Chance, which is another Hugh Laurie project. It is one of those where there's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of characters, and I feel like it is a show made for binging. Like if you tried to watch this week to week, I feel like you'd lose track of it a little bit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. There's a couple things I had an issue with. Like I thought in that third episode, for half of it, I thought this is kind of dragging. Like what's going on with this plot? Are they just kind of spinning wheels? Is this a filler episode? And then of course, no. It's got a big hook at the end.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that for the most part, how they do dialogue with the characters, they make some scenes that could be relatively mundane in other people's hands play really well.
Also, I will say, having seen the back half of the season, that they definitely amp up sort of the espionage and the question of what's going on and why she's killing and that kind of aspects a little bit more. And it starts to feel a little bit more like a spy show.
Okay.
And not just a character piece. It is still very much a character piece, but it starts to feel a little bit more like a spy show, and I think that does give it a shot of energy it needed. There's a pretty fantastic action scene in either episode 4 or 5 that sort of, again, changes the tenor or changes the tempo of the show a little bit.
Do we have Sandra Oh running really quickly across bridges and like jumping off of a bridge onto like a
train,
a semi or a train?
No, but she does wear a pretty dress.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah,
I'll take that. All right, well, let's jump.
That's
over
actually a big thing. There actually is a big reason for the
dress.
Her, yeah. Well, she's not the glamorous like James Bond.
That was in
type
episode
person.
3. We saw that.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about This Is Us because, as I've said enough, Randy and I don't watch this show,
Right.
but
you've seen some of season 1?
I saw the
Randy?
2 or 3 episodes.
Okay.
I saw the first episode.
And I catch little bits and pieces from friends who
Or
watch
like
it, or like from just random
general
internet. So
news, yeah.
I know what happens to, is it Jack?
Yes.
And I know that there's a bad toaster oven involved somehow.
Crockpot. Yep.
And I know that people are really mad, and I know he saves a dog.
Okay.
That's what I know. But you're telling me there's
And
also timelines and stuff.
Yeah, and Grant, what do you know?
I mean,
Saccharine?
yeah. I know that this show is emotionally manipulative, and if you can, all televisions, that's kind of their goal anyway. They're trying to take you on a journey and manipulate you. But this one just does it in a way where they're pulling out all the stops, and for me, that can be a bit much. So and something that's just kind of straight drama and also like the feel goods, but also just the feels.
Yeah.
It's not generally my cup of tea. I mean, I'm a big Lost fan.
Yeah.
And I like that one because it also really blends with the mythology and the sci-fi stuff.
Are there any smoke monsters in season 2?
And not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
No.
You would probably know.
I'd probably know.
Yeah.
But there is smoke
Oh, okay.
in season 2.
And it is kind of a monster.
I mean
It
yeah.
kills a dude.
Does
It
so that's
does.
just like the smoke monster. Grant, you should really be watching the show. Are there polar bears? Is there time travel?
There is not time travel, but there are timelines.
See, this is a lot like Lost.
So
to
I
me,
mean,
Grant.
yeah, this is really this is the
basically
same
Lost.
show.
Yeah. Are there any? Does anyone get on a plane at any point?
Yes.
See?
Yes,
It's
that
Lost.
happens as well.
Are there islands? Has there ever been an island?
I don't believe so, unless you count like Long Island or maybe.
Oh,
What
yeah.
about a metaphorical island, like this person's emotionally walled off from other people?
Absolutely, yes.
There we go.
You got it. Well, I mean, that just means like tonight you're binging.
I did not
Just don't go
know
to
that
sleep.
this was going to be an intervention to convince Grant that Lost and This Is Us were the same show. But
Same show.
I'm so happy with that.
Okay.
So what can I tell you? I mean, there's so much.
Tell us.
Should I
everything.
summarize?
So I'm
season
fascinated
one
by
and then-
by the timeline thing.
Yes. And so you have Jack and Rebecca, who had triplets.
Yes.
Well, technically.
They
had twins. One died. So the whole storyline is about the
They had
fact that
triplets and one died, and
then they adopted the
right. Well, yes, and then
Right.
they adopted Randall, and then they're a white family, and he's African American. So they adopted him in the hospital because he was abandoned at the firehouse. So that kind of sets off the whole thing.
Yep.
And so you have pretty much as the season goes on a timeline where Jack and Rebecca have these triplets who are about 10, and then you also have them at around 17. And then you have them present day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 36. So those are the timelines, generally.
So what has transpired? If you were able to give us cliff notes of selling us on what transpired in the first season and the second season,
Sure.
That would be a good selling point on what this show does well and what you love about it.
So I think what this show has done really well is introduce the adopted kid's name is Randall. Introduce his birth dad back into the picture. He ended up being an amazing musician, but he was addicted to drugs. And so you get to his storyline in episode 16 of the first season. It's called Memphis. It's my absolute favorite episode. Brian Tyree Henry guest stars. They show his whole backstory and Brian
Does he play the younger version?
No, he plays his cousin Ricky. So you have the younger version played by like Jamel Harris or something like that.
Okay.
And of William. So you have William and Ricky, being in their 20s, and you see their life is amazing. They're about to, they have a band, and they're probably going to go on tour. And then William's mom gets sick. He goes to visit her. She dies. He goes on a, downward spiral, starts taking drugs, and that's how it all, he ends up having a son, leaving him on the firehouse steps. And so, I mean, you have drugs, these are the selling points, right? You have drugs, you have interracial or transracial adoption, just really interesting storylines, like how does this black kid grow up in this white family who are middle class? They don't have a lot of money. Where do they send him to school? He's really smart. So they end up sending him to like a different school than his brother and sister. There's just many different dynamics like that.
Does he have any psychic powers?
He does not, but
he could be kind of like Walt.
No, but he does have like anxiety.
Ridiculous.
So because he's like this, like perfectionist type guy, you see an episode where he just kind of loses it all. I mean, he ends up being a really successful adult, but you realize he's still grappling with all these things from his childhood. You have an episode where he's just like literally on the floor of his office crying. His brother, who they don't get along most of their lives, is there for him. Things like that. That's season 1 mostly.
Yeah, I mean, I remember in the very first episode, you get a sense of the other siblings. I mean, they do the setup of the characters really well. The storytelling, and the pacing, it seems to just kind of go really quickly at a great clip. And the white brother is a famous actor, but he's kind of objectified, and they just want him to be the sex appeal, and he wants to have a little bit more gravitas to his role.
Absolutely.
And his twin sister,
so that's Kevin.
She struggles with her weight and body image issues, and she doesn't think she'll find love, but then she does with some guy.
Right. So she basically spends a lot of her adult life being her brother's manager. And so they just have this really interesting bond. Obviously, they're twins. But her life has just kind of been in the shadows of his fame. And so finally she starts to break out of that. And with her relationship, she starts to gain a bunch of confidence that way.
Is Mandy Moore alive in the present?
She is. She is alive in the present, and she's remarried, which has caused a bunch of, contention between the adult kids.
Do they recast her?
No, they don't recast her. She is in full-on, like, prosthetic makeup.
Is it good?
It is good.
Okay. I mean, a lot of times, like, old people make it.
I got along.
I mean, it's not like the most amazing, but it's pretty good.
Pretty good.
And she does a good job, like, moving, like an older person would, and things like that. But I think the most amazing part,
Getty from Golden Girls.
Yes.
I think the most amazing part, probably, or the most amazing actor in the present was Ron Cephas Jones, who played William Randall's dad, and he's just such a fantastic actor. And he brought so much to the family. When Randall finally tracked him down, he moved him in. He's a stranger. He moved him into his family with his girls, and they had just this whole dynamic. Like he's dying of cancer, and a lot of real life stuff.
Yeah. I got fairly into this, I guess, because I recognize all that. Did that happen in the first 3 or 4 episodes?
No, I'd say, him coming to the house did.
Okay.
But some of the other stuff, it transpired
I think
throughout.
I got 3 or 4, but a lot of this sounds familiar, so I did watch enough to get a sense of it.
What I recall about the show that was one of the biggest talking points was the ongoing mystery of how Milo Ventimiglia.
That's close.
Almost.
How he's the father of the family, the patriarch.
The patriarch.
And he dies at some point in one of the timelines.
Right.
And I know that people were speculating, like, what happens? When does he die?
Right.
And then they deliver.
They do.
And it seems like it really upset a lot of people.
So that was season 2 that they did that?
That's season 2.
Okay.
So he dies in probably like episode 12, 13, something like that, out of 18 episodes.
Oh, wow.
So it was a February, the Super Bowl. Yeah. So it was a Super Bowl Sunday episode where he died. And
a very special episode.
And so it's really interesting because Jack is like Super Jack. Like, this is what they call him. Like he's a great dad. He's a great husband. He does all these big gestures. Mm-hmm. So everyone's like, oh, I want to be like him. Like, how do you be this guy? Like, how do you be this? And so
wear a lot of flannel.
and so that's part of why I felt like people were so connected to him, because he was just this ideal guy. So yes, their neighbor gave them a crock pot, and when they gave them the crock pot was already 17 years old, and there was a smoke alarm that did not have batteries in it, and it set a fire. And
is this just a PSA from the fire department?
I mean, it was really good. It was really good. Like, I look at all my appliances differently now.
And the Crockpot awareness board.
Well, no, honestly, like Crockpot, like I think sales dropped. Like, this really affected things.
You would think it would.
Milo had to,
because the message would be get a new Crockpot or it will set your house on fire.
Well, Milo had to actually like create a commercial and say like, no, this is not against Crockpot USA. No, it was really interesting. So anyway, yeah, so he brings 2 of the 3 kids out of the house. Another kid is gone and his wife. But then he decides to go back in for the dog. And he doesn't die from the fire, but dies from like probably smoke inhalation, things like that, in the hospital. So that's why people were really upset, like that he went back in for the dog. And then he also came out with like albums, like family albums.
Yeah.
I hope they were right next to the dog. Like that.
Oh, Jack.
Yes.
You know,
Because he had to preserve their memories.
yeah.
Wasn't my favorite.
Does this show bring you to tears ever?
It does. It does. So also in season 2, a huge timeline is the adoption because Randall's dad eventually died of cancer, and then Jack dies. Randall decides to adopt also. So he adopts, older kids are harder to adopt. So he goes ahead and adopts, this girl, African-American girl, and her whole family situation is very similar to William's, where her mom ends up being addicted to drugs and things like that. So, I mean, that was just really hard to watch.
Right.
And there was also, her name is Deja, and there was also a Deja-centric episode. And people were very upset about it. Like, it was controversial because they didn't think she deserved an episode. Mm-hmm. So that's how much they got into the character. Like, she wasn't a good foster kid. Like, she caused problems to the household. She was difficult to deal with, things like that. Yeah.
Santiago from season 2 of Friday Night Lights.
See, this show is Friday Night Lights meets Lost. You should love it.
Why am I not watching this show?
I don't know.
Not enough Benjamin Linus. Oh, no. Are you about to tell me there's a Benjamin Linus here?
Benjamin Linus could be there.
Is there a puppet master who's controlling other people and knows more than he says? That's one of the best characters ever.
Yep.
So the second season, this is when Jack bites the dust, right?
He bites the dust, yeah.
How do they end up resolving the second season? We're going to hit spoilers here, folks. So.
Yeah, I mean, we've given away so much. So basically, after his death, you really see how they try to live on through his memory. But there are complications. So Kevin never really grieved. Mm-hmm. And so he ended up having an alcohol addiction. And in this season, they actually did. So they labeled the kids number 1, 2, and 3. So he's number 1. He was the first to be born. So they all got their own dedicated episodes. And in that, he discussed that. And Kate discussed her, acted on her weight, and then Randall, the whole adoption thing. And so it ended up with a wedding. That's how they wrapped season 2. They showed Kevin actually coming out of rehab. They showed Kate actually being able to love someone else besides her dad and let him go. And they showed Randall trying to form this new family and be like Super Jack.
Okay. So would you say, did you like season 2 as much as you like season 1?
So they're different, but it's not a sophomore slump. I'd say season 2 is darker, which I usually like. But I thought season 1 was so strong that it's hard to meet it.
And season 3 starts in a few months?
September 25th.
Okay. Do you have hopes or fears for season 3?
Well, they left us with some cliffhangers.
Okay.
Kate's husband that she married in the finale seems like he's in this deep depression.
Okay.
So they're going to address depression. They're also going to continue to address this Deja storyline because she was pulled out of the house and now she's back.
Okay.
And Jack has a this makes it sound like a soap opera. Jack had a brother who died in Vietnam, and they don't know the story of what happened there.
Okay.
So he's got an eye patch.
So you see Kevin, Jack's first son, getting on a plane trying to figure out.
So he lives on a mysterious island, right?
Or his uncle is.
Skull Island.
So you talked about the timelines. Are there alternate stories that are happening, or is it just kind of jumping around and showing us past and that kind of thing?
What do you mean?
Is it
connect?
Is it showing us the past is all the same, or are we seeing is there one where Jack didn't die or something like that? What are the time? What is it just
Are
flashbacks?
You fucking with me now?
No, I'm actually just curious. It's all flashbacks.
Generally, it is all the same, except that during Kate's wedding, and this is how they set us up. The preview for that final episode, you saw Jack walking down the aisle as an adult, as a 6-year-old. He died when he was 30-ish, or something. And so you're trying to figure out what's going on. So it really was because she was in this whole state of trying to let go of her dad.
Okay.
She had these dreams of her mom and her dad still being together and renewing their vows.
So we were seeing her vision of what might have happened.
But of course, we didn't know that, right? So everyone's like, wait, what? Is Jack really not dead? What's happening here?
Right. But then in season 3, when it's revealed that she can see the future and she's seen the nuclear apocalypse and that she has to stop it with the help of Benjamin Linus, Grant will begin watching.
As long as there's a donkey wheel, I'm in. That's all I need is a donkey wheel.
That is a weird general rule that you have.
There's only one show I've ever watched because of this rule. It's very limiting.
And that's why you watched Lost. It was all because of the donkey wheel.
Yeah,
you didn't even jump in until the donkey wheel was
Donkey
revealed.
wheel sold.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I still think that it sounds like a very well done show. Maybe not a show for me. I don't know.
It sounds a lot like Lost to me, Grant. I
Oh
feel
my
like
gosh.
you probably should be watching it.
But we'll have to have Kiki back.
So this
to
is what
talk
I'll
about
say.
This.
This is what I'll say. Watch episode 16 of season 1, Memphis. That alone is worth watching.
Okay. All right.
Just as like a standalone solid episode.
It's really good.
All right.
Yep.
That's a good.
And then if you want to watch an episode of season 2, I'd say The Big Amazing Beautiful Life. That's really the episode of Deja and Deja's backstory and her mom's backstory. You really see how she ended up in the foster system and that place.
Okay.
So if you were to watch 2, those are the 2 I'd recommend.
All right.
Homework assignment, Randy.
Okay.
So we got to get on that for next week. You guys want to do some questions?
Yeah, let's take questions.
Let's take a break, and then we'll do some questions. Guys, if you like us on our Facebook page, once again, that's facebook.com/TV Dudes. Once a week, Randy puts up a question post, and you guys can ask us literally anything.
Literally anything.
Please don't ask us literally anything. Try and make it geared toward TV.
TV related is good, yeah.
And we'll try our best to address those questions, those burning TV questions. It's so crucial. No, I shouldn't undercut this. I should be serious. First question comes to us from Michael Gassini, who says, between Villanelle from Killing Eve and Barry from Barry, 2018 has been a great year for assassins on TV. If you dudes had to build a 4-person assassin squad made up of TV assassins to execute whichever high-profile hit you so choose, who would you recruit? I'm going to add, who are we killing?
I'm not saying who we're killing, but
Randy,
we all know.
who you want us to kill, okay?
So
you're not subtle about it either. And there's someone knocking at the door.
Exactly. That's why I'm not saying. But I think Villanelle's got to be on the list.
Absolutely.
For sure. But I think cleanup crew. She's the one who comes and kills the other 3 assassins so nobody can trace you.
She's the
we got to do
Wolf.
Yeah, Mike from Breaking Bad.
Mike from Breaking Bad is definitely a good one.
That's a great one.
Yeah, and he's also going to be a cleaner. And Mike and Villanelle facing off over who survives. I mean, Walt gets him, so I feel like maybe he's not going to survive against a professional assassin. But he was old, so who knows?
Yeah, back in his prime. Who knows?
And then I'm throwing in Anna, the assassin from Alias, who was played by oh man, I always blank her name. It's Zoe from Firefly, Gina Torres.
Okay.
I think she would be a good assassin.
I'm going to go with Dennis from It's Always Sunny.
Why? Why would you do that?
Because I feel like we try to work someone from It's Always Sunny into every clip.
But Dennis is going to be the worst assassin. Dennis is a serial killer.
We're hunting the most dangerous of all game.
He's going to screw everything up. At least they're in Mac. Mac's got muscle mass.
Oh, he's got muscle mass. Yeah, I don't know. Who's another good assassin? Barry isn't.
Barry's not great.
Barry's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, Barry is not great.
There's
not a lot of TV assassins is the weird thing.
He's got too much of a tether to... I mean, if Villanelle is kind of included... I guess, no, that doesn't work because she has someone who's a handler for her, and that's why she has hits.
Yeah.
I was going to say, can we just say Dexter?
Oh, I know. We
But
want
Dexter's just a serial killer.
we want from the Americans. We want. Is it Carrie Bishop?
Oh,
no,
Elizabeth.
no.
Carrie
Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I want Elizabeth.
Yeah, Elizabeth. Yes.
Elizabeth would totally take care of business, and I think can handle Villanelle.
Philip, not so much. Philip's okay.
Philip's got a conscience.
Yeah,
That's his
he's got a
problem.
conscience.
Yeah.
It's holding him back.
Yep.
Let go of it, Philip.
You don't want to assassin with a conscience. That's how you get Barry.
All right, let's go to the next question. Jonathan Haptemichael says, "Hi, dudes. Even though the Emmys are getting better with their nominations, they can't be perfect in the era of peak TV. Where the heck is Billions?
Billions is not an Emmy-winning show. Sorry.
What Emmy snub would be worthy to earn a TV Dudes award, which will be called either a Randy or an electric sweater? Imagine a button that can light up a sweater portion of the statue.
Can we do that? Let's do that.
That's pretty sweet.
The Electric Sweater Awards.
I like that. Yeah.
The Good Place is the missing one. The Good
We
Place
should
is
have
the
an
big snub.
electric sweater awards.
I like it.
For
Can
sure.
it, can it be an actual electric sweater?
Why not?
Yeah. You can. Not many awards where you can wear.
You
We're
can
not gonna-
sell it with "Shut the fuck up, Randy."
Yeah. Shut the fuck up, Randy. Electric sweaters.
Okay.
It lights up. It's like a neon sign. It like flashes.
I just see dollar bills in my eyes. Who do we feel is a good snub?
Good Place. The Good Place is the big snub. We talked about this.
Good Place? Yeah.
The Good Place definitely deserves the Electric Sweater Award.
We would give it an award.
Oh yeah.
What do you think?
So are we talking about just the show award, or just overall?
It could be overall. It could be an actress.
Because
or an
do you
actor who
not
can
think
wear-
that like Paul Giamatti is just amazing in Billions? Even
Paul Giamatti. I actually love Billions. I love all the performances, but yeah, the show itself, I don't know that it belongs in the
yeah.
rare.
So I would talk about the actors.
Yeah, Giamatti and
Damian
Lewis. Damian Lewis.
Yep.
I still thought Michael McKean in the last season of Better Call Saul
Yeah.
should have been
right.
it should have been nominated this season now, right?
Yeah. You're
'Cause
right.
it was the most. Yeah, man, that guy was in particular
Actually,
really good.
did Breaking Bad get shut out?
Better Call Saul, you mean?
Better Call Saul? Yeah.
I guess.
That's weird. Was it somehow in some weird gap where it wasn't I don't know. I mean, this is another reason I hate award shows. When you do end of the year, it should be the whole year, and it should be for the year before. This weird, it's August or it's July, and we're going to do awards for July to July. That's a fiscal year stuff. No, too hard to keep track of.
I feel like last year or the year before, we were all like, there should be Atlanta awards. But now it's 16 of them. I'm like, all right, slow down, guy. You can spread the wealth a little. Yeah, I don't know. I should have paid more attention to who's in the Emmys
Yeah.
for the nominations.
But the important thing is we know what the award will look like, and it is an electric sweater that flashes the words, "Shut the fuck up, Randy."
Yes. I think it's Randy, shut the fuck up.
Is it Randy, shut the fuck up?
Yeah.
So like Randy's the top line, and then and then fuck up is the bottom one?
And does it say
and
Dash
alternates?
Grant? Like sign Grant on it? 'Cause I mean, like
No,
what's
it's from everyone.
Oh,
Yeah.
This is
Grant
the
at
world.
all?
Yeah,
It's
Grant
got a
et al.
hyphen and then a
Yes.
globe.
The world.
Jonathan Huffnagel says, "Dear TV dudes, as I finally dove into watching The Deuce for the first time, I could not help but be reminded of something funny. A silly campfire game we played in years past. How to determine everyone's porn star name. It was always your middle name, followed by the name of the street you grew up on. That would make me Alexander the First. Based on those simple rules, I now wonder, what would be yours?"
Two things. First of all, I'm wise to you, Huffnagel, and I know you're trying to get our passwords. Second of all, Alexander the First is either a great or a terrible porn name.
I think you're also supposed to include your social security number as part of this.
and your credit card complete with a CVV number from the back. Yeah, that's your full. That's your porn name and your salary.
You know what? I grew up on a whole bunch of streets. I moved around a bunch.
I don't remember my streets at all. I've forgotten the streets.
Let's see. My middle name is Michael, and pick a year. Pick an age that I like is the prime age that I should have.
1972.
No, come on. I mean, my age, not a year.
20.
When I was 20, is that like the
No.
street I grew up on?
When did you grow up? When do you feel like you grew up?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what's the age where I grew
What time is it now?
Shit. No. I'm gonna say,
When do you feel you grew up? What age were you a man?
still getting there. Yeah, you're right. Let's say 13.
13's good. Yeah.
It's like that's a bar mitzvah.
Yeah, sure.
When I was 13, I lived on Eagle Tavern Lane. Michael
Oh my God.
Eagle Tavern?
Michael Eagle Tavern is an amazing porn name.
That's weird.
It's also a great secret agent name.
I disagree with this whole premise.
This is fantastic. Michael Eagle Tavern is better than anything else.
Are either of you guys interested in
Okay, so my middle name is William, but I don't remember any of the streets I grew up on.
what street are you on now?
I'm not giving you that information. But I did live on Kempwood. William Kempwood does not sound like a porn name. It sounds like a man who runs a small mortgage brokerage.
It's like you sell microwaves or something.
Yeah, yeah. Hello, I'm William Kempwood, and I know what to do with your money.
So I could either not answer, which is my initial.
It's completely it's completely optional.
Yes, let's go with that.
We think that he's data mining anyway.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. Yep.
Paul Mampilli says, "Dear TV dudes, you are in control of a newsroom roundtable.
Oh, shit.
You know the ones with a host and usual talking heads. Who in the world of TV would you want to be the host and 2 debaters?"
So no news personalities for sure, pretty much. I mean, unless I could find like Rachel Maddow or and Anderson Cooper and a few people who I respect. But I would think like I would want to go with like, of course, Jon Stewart.
Right.
And then I would want Jon Stewart to be the host. And then the debaters is tough because I only have one point of view.
We'll pick 2 people that have that same point of view.
But then it's not a debate. Then they all just agree and they go home.
It's a happy show for you, right? Don't you just feel good at the end of that?
Yeah. I see the debaters is the tough thing. Like,
You're just going to have Samantha Bee and you're going to have John Oliver.
Samantha Bee and Jason Jones. I feel like they're married. They must fight from time to time. They can be debaters.
Oh, jeez.
But what if these people weren't? You know, just what characters would you like? Could you do characters?
Oh,
even
yeah.
better.
So in that case, the host is Dennis from Always Sunny, and it's Charlie, or it's Dennis. It's Charlie and Dee are the 2 arguers.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kei?
Well, I feel like Bart Simpson needs to be the host. And then I'm still working on the debaters. Yeah. Maybe you want to chime in with those.
Let's see. We're going to go with Terry Crews from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Okay.
And he's going to debate. Let's jump over to Peggy from Mad Men.
Okay.
All right.
I don't know why.
Oh, sure.
I'm
Yeah.
just picking some people.
And who's your host?
And the host is going to be
The polar
Rick
bear
from
Lost.
Rick and Morty. Oh, God. The polar bears.
The polar bear from Lost.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
no, he ate both
So
of
Barry.
them.
So that's a great idea. So Barry. I mean, not Barry. Bart.
Bart.
And then Rick from The Walking Dead.
Oh, God.
That would be amazing. And then
Oh, man.
George Clooney from ER. There you go.
And they debate the news of the day.
It's just a
Yes.
sexy bobblehead off. They're just gonna at each other, just swaggering. All right, as Alex Miracle says, dudes, come join me in the Black Lodge. So Twin Peaks has revived from network TV to Showtime, thankfully, with no time or censorship restrictions. If Lost was to be revived, sadly revived, we don't need a continuation. It ended perfectly. What network would you like to see tackled the next season? P.S. Permanent Record.
PermanentRecord.com.
There you go. No, I don't want it. I don't want a reboot. First off,
Yep.
Revived. Yeah. I feel like it could. We could return to the island. With Hurley there.
Mm-hmm. What network you want to do that on?
Just Netflix. Duh.
Netflix? Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because they did a great job with Arrested Development.
I was thinking HBO.
I was thinking FX.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'm down with all these.
So I think HBO, based on just how they handle leftovers, I would be interested to see what they with Lost.
Well, honestly, it's ABC, so it would be Hulu, I guess.
Ew.
Yeah. Well, mixed bag. Hulu can be all right.
It can be all right. There's stuff I like on Hulu. Future Man. What if Lost was like Future Man?
we keep forgetting about Future Man. All right, let's go to Zach McLernan, who says, you are at Netflix and they tell you that you can revive one canceled... A lot of revivaling questions.
Yep.
One canceled show of your choice, but it has to be animated in the style of Voltron, Avatar The Last Airbender, or Avatar, I guess.
Yep. They're both the same
and you
studio.
must be a talking dog that cracks... There must be a talking dog that cracks jokes. Come on, are you just gearing this toward Randy?
He is.
What show do you revive?
We all know what show I revive, and we know there's a dog that... And suddenly, it's the name makes sense.
Absolutely.
What about... Just say Terriers. It's Terriers.
It's Terriers.
Just say the name, too. For anyone... We have new listeners occasionally.
Do we?
No. Key, what about you?
One season? One
show you can revive.
Okay, so just one show?
Just a show you could bring back.
Southland.
Interesting, with the talking dog.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe like a canine unit?
Yep.
Yeah, I can see that.
Andy Richter controls the universe.
Oh, that would fit perfectly.
I feel a talking dog.
Yeah, a talking dog would fit right in.
Perfect for it.
Yeah, and an animated version of that, I would watch the hell out of that show.
Yeah, there you go. All right, final question, guys. Kyle Volte, you're going to conclude things for us. Hey, TV dudes, while we're sitting in the dog days of summer, sweltering under oppressive heat, as hot as in Sudbury as in it is in Austin. I don't know where Sudbury is. Punctuated only by the occasional hurricane-strength micro-burst storm, what shows do you wish you hadn't wasted time watching this past year? Oh, man.
There's definitely shows I wish I hadn't watched this year. I did dodge the bullet of 13 Reasons Why season 2.
Oh, man.
I did not watch that.
Did you watch that?
No, have not.
Did you watch the first season?
I did.
Yeah, I heard the second one is not good.
Yeah, interesting.
I mean, there's a lot. I wish I hadn't spent that hour watching Succession.
Oh.
I didn't love Impulse, although I did like it well enough that I think it was not. I wouldn't reverse it. I know there's stuff that I would have not watched.
I started watching some comedians in cars getting coffee, and I feel like I could just not. I could have done something else in my time.
And we're going to talk about it next week.
Man, it's a lot of watching that show and not even smiling. Just going, oh, like, yeah.
Oh, I wish I could not have wasted that half hour on watching an episode of Alice Inc. That was terrible.
Don't even know what that is.
That was that sitcom.
Any shows that you're just like, man?
Half of the comedy specials on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hannah Gadsby's Nanette.
No, not even that. I just feel like a lot of them just feel forced.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree.
So.
Yeah. This is a funny question for us to go out on, Kyle.
What would you not watch?
Yeah. What sucks? just start ranting about garbage shows. Is Haters still on with Mario Lopez?
Oh, God.
Man, remember that show, Haters?
Yes.
Ugh. We got good mileage out of that one. What a terrible name. All right, guys, we're going to wrap things up here. Keith, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a lot of fun.
And where would people go to find your podcasts?
You can find our podcast on keyandclyde.com, KEI and CLYDE.
Mm-hmm.
We're also on iTunes and Google Play.
And Twitter. You're on Twitter.
Twitter at Hey Kei Haynes. And my lovely spouse at Clyde Haynes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you again for joining us. Randy, shut up. No one cares what you think.
I got it.
Shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Buy the T-shirts, guys. We're going to have those up on sale.
Sweaters, great. They're sweaters.
Oh, man. It's so hot outside, though.
Only in Texas. It's not Texas everywhere.
Well, you can have a T-shirt that looks like a sweater and still light up.
That's true.
That's cool. Or I was thinking, what about like a crop top sweater?
Or a sweater where you can pull the arms off, and again, like a Mac style thing.
Show our tummies.
Yeah, I like it.
A little belly button.
Just like a furry T-shirt.
Yeah, furry T-shirt. Yeah. Why don't we change the network name to Electric Furry T-shirt?
That's brilliant.
Ew. I don't know. Ask Mike about that.
I will definitely ask him about that next time I see him.
Everyone else, email Mike to campaign for Electric Furry T-shirt.
Hashtag Electric Furry T-shirt.
And we will be back next week. Until then, though,
TV Dudes out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener-supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.